I was adopted. I never knew my real mother. Rather, I knew her at one time, but I left her side when I was too little to be able to remember. I loved my adopted family, though. They were so kind to me. I ate well and lived in a warm, comfortable house. I got to stay up pretty late. Let me tell you about my family real fast. First, there's my mother. I never called her mom or anything like that. I just called her by her first name, Janice. She didn't mind at all, though. I called her that for so long, I don't think she even noticed. Anyhow, she was a very kind woman. I think that's that she is one who recommended my adoption at first place. Sometimes I would lay my head against her in the front of the television, and she would tickle my back with her nails. She is one of those Hollywood mothers. Second, there's Dad. His real name was Richard, but he never really liked me much, so I began to refer to him as Dad in a desperate attempt to gain his affection. It didn't work. I think that there's no real matter what I called him, he would never love me as much as his own child. That's understandable, so I really don't press the matter. The most notable attribute of Dad was his unmoving sternness. He was not afraid to pop his children when they did something wrong. I found that out before I could use the restroom properly. He didn't hesitate to spank me. Well, I'm in line, and it's because of his methods. Lastly, it's my sister, little Emily. She was really young, and when I was adopted, we were about the same age. But she was slightly older. I think of her as my little sister, though. We got along better than any sibling could possibly get along with. We could always stay up late together and just talk. Well, she did a lot of talking. I mostly just listened, because I loved her. It was a great setup that we had. We we were just sort of bedrooms. So, because I didn't want to sleep in the living room by myself when I was littler, I pallet set up for me next to the bed on the floor. This is where I have slept since. But it was cool with me because I enjoyed being with her, and I had always felt pretty protective of my little sis. Everything changed on a horrible Wednesday night. I was home taking a nap when Emily opened the front door. The sound of the door opening pulled me out of my state to consciousness, and I walked from the room down to the hall, the living room. That's when I first remembered it was Wednesday. I was never able. I was never any good to keep track of what day it was. I'll actually go ahead and just say it. My sense of time was horrible, but nevertheless, I knew it was Wednesday because Emily had just come home from her church's youth group gathering. She walked to the front door and hugged me, and she was followed by Dad and Janice. Had a good nap? Have a good nap? Janice said teasingly as she ruffled my hair. I shook my head away and snorted in a manner clearly expressed that I was teasing back at her. "Don't you snort at your mother like that," said my father gruffly, with authority. He shut the door behind him and hung up his coat. I was joking. I groaned under my breath. He must not have heard me because I didn't feel him smack me. Emily then proceeded to our room, and I followed. She started telling me about her day. You know, usual teenage girl stuff. But I listened so that she would feel better. After her summary, she suggested watching TV, and I obliged, and jumped into the couch. She was going for the remote. She rolled her eyes at my little brother-like immaturity, and scooted me over, and I sat down. The TV turned on, and we watched it together till the sun went down. Emily was Emily was that kind of girl that, instead of watching cartoons and soap operas, Should rather watch Discovery and Animal Planet and National Geographic. I like those too, so I didn't mind. Actually, those were the only channels that could hold my attention. So I got up late and Janice walked up behind me, behind the sofa. "Emily, it's past your bedtime. Turn off the television and go to your room. You too." She pointed at me. Emily turned off the program, and we were watching gradually and stood up. She started down the hallway to our room. As I followed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. We went to our room, and Emily turned off the light. Just as she did, I caught a flash of movement out of the corner of my eye. It was out the window, but as soon as I redirected my line of sight to where the window was no longer in my peripheral vision, what it was that I thought I saw was gone. I still remained alert, for my sister's sake. I lay there in the darkness with nothing but the thin ray of light from the street lamp outside to illuminate the room. And it wasn't much. Time and time again, I could have sworn that I heard suitable sounds from just outside the window. A twig break, leaves crunching, clothes jostling, and all the while I could smell a faint stench from sweat and blood. I kept my eyes open most of the night. The sounds outside just subsided, and the smell left my nose. I began to feel at ease. My eyelids closed. Not long after that, I heard a very loud crash on the other side of the house. I was up in an instant. There was someone in the house. I barked with extreme adrenaline coursing through me. "Wake up!" I shrilled, pleading with Emily. She did as soon as I saw her sit up and ran to my parents' room. Dad was dead. His neck was splayed open with a gaping blood spilling out of it, off the bed into the floor. I saw that the master bathroom's door was closed, and just before it, on the outside, was a man. A man I don't feel comfortable calling it that. He was very large and rugged. He turned around and saw me. And that's when I saw him accurately for the first time. I won't forget it. His eyes were large and beady and trapped with lust. He was styling a beard that he was badly unkempt, with blood dripping off. His clothes were dirty and his face was cold. Just then I noticed the same horrid smell of sweat and blood from earlier, but this time it was overwhelming. He saw me and grinned, with a set of crooked yellow teeth. That smile threw me off. I thought I was going to die, but then he turned back to the bathroom door completely unpictured by my presence. I was terrified and didn't know what to do. Just yelled and cried. I watched as he shouldered through the door that was my mom's only protection. I watched as he raised a large razor that he was carrying, but had obviously neglected to use properly. I watched as he sliced open her and tore her to shreds. I then heard something, the last thing I wanted to hear. It was Emily screaming, coming from behind me. The large monstrosity looked up from my butchered mother and stared at my little sister. I was distraught. He stood quickly and started walking towards us. My sister turned and ran, and I was at a loss when he bypassed me and went straight for her. Why was he still in the house? Had she not assessed the situation and run? Apparently not. Now she was dead, and I was alone. I ran after them both. I expected the man to kill her as the rest of my family, but I was sadly mistaken. He grabbed her by the arm and jerked her as way and make it clear that he was in control. He dragged her through the house. I was making all sorts of noise I could now, hoping that and praying that someone would come to my aid. He mustn't take her. Not her. He then passed by me. I packed against the wall and whimpered with terror. Why? He wasn't responding, except by putting his free hand on my head while Emily screamed in the other, saying, "Good boy." He gave another crooked grin and a very cold, unnatural laugh. I fell into the door where he dragged my helpless sister after him. She opened it and pulled her out and slammed it shut behind him. Now I'm sitting in the house with my mutilated adopted parents, shivering and whimpering with dismay. He's out there with her, doing who knows what to her, and I can't do anything. I would if I could, but I can't. I would chase after them in a heartbeat, but I can't. I sit there, looking at the front door, down on my paws. If only I could open doors.